Okay, our friends from Zimbabwe, we are ready. Now take the lead.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon to you, everyone, to you, colleagues, students, and teachers. Today, we are going to have our second session. So, before we begin, we'd like to start with a prayer from Chinotenda Chimini. Can you lead us, Chinotenda? Let me speak.
Let us all pray in the name
of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Dear Lord, teach me to be generous. Teach me to serve you as you deserve, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the rules, to toil and not to seek rest, to labor and not to ask for, except that of knowing that I'm doing the will. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you so much, Chinotenda. On behalf of Magis, I would like to welcome you to our second meeting. Last session, we had our presentation on countries and schools, and we introduced ourselves. With me here, I have my students from St. Ignatius College, and by now you know my name. I'm Miss Lydia Basera. So I would like to welcome you all to our second session. Feel free, do not fear to say anything that you want. So I would like to just, you just raise your thumb. St. Ignatius Santiago, are you there? Santiago, LICEO, ZAVIER, Guatemala, St. Ignatius, Chicago. Can you hear me? It's okay. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Now I leave this opportunity to David. Mr. David, can you take over?
Yes, of course. Thank you very much to everyone. Welcome on behalf once again and friendship among our schools is raising now. So thank you very much to all the schools who are connected to this class. Guys, we have already started in the previous session about the issue of migration. Since the very beginning, we have started the discussion, I think, in our schools. It's risen many questions and many questions and many reflections over this problematic issue, which are striking our lives. Yeah. So I would like once again to tell you that due to severe weather conditions and severe problems with communications, we are still carrying out with the classes. So I thank you very much to our friends in Chile, to our friends in Guatemala, to our friends from the US, but who are here in Santiago, and to our new friends from Zimbabwe. Okay, so Mr. The leader of this class from Zimbabwe, I leave you the lead of the class now.
At this moment, I invite Mr. Kelvin Zivu to take the lead. Mr. Zivu, can you please welcome the students? Zivu.
Right. Good day to you, everyone. I hope I find you all today. So now we're about to begin with round one, which are the presentations from the different groups on the question, why do people migrate into your country? So I believe up first we have ourselves, St. Ignatius College, Zimbabwe, to present. So now I would like to invite Kupakwashe Magomana to present that to you as we wait for others. Mhm. Mhm. Introduction to migration patterns in Zimbabwe. Makes sense. Factors driving migration into Zimbabwe. Economic prospects. Job availability boosts migration rates in Zimbabwe as there are a large number of available jobs. Political climate and social connection are some of the other factors. These shall be explained further in the next slides. Economic opportunities in Zimbabwe. A large agricultural sector expanding opportunities for skilled workers in agronomy help the country to boost tourism growth. Increased visitors fuel local economies, like the vendors in the picture showed, who sell vegetables to more than half the population of the people coming. Mining. With a large number of platinum reserves, Zimbabwe is one of the richest countries in terms of minerals. It shows great prospects in gold mining as well. Next slide. Political and social stability in Zimbabwe. Improved governance, encouraging foreign investment and growth, community resilience. Cohesive societies attract migrants from other countries like South Africa. Public safety. Attractive environment for families to communicate and interact with each other. Help to boost the migration in Zimbabwe.
Education. So, as we all know, access to education grows in terms of countries. Zimbabwe is one of the most educated countries in Africa. So, people may migrate to Zimbabwe looking for better educational facilities and better learning environments. Even quality institutions with better activities such as sporting activities or better boarding areas. And there's also a factor of skills trained in Zimbabwe, with Zimbabwe offering vocational programs which enhance job readiness. Tourist attractions. So Zimbabwe has many natural wonders throughout the world. There's many wildlife and landscapes which draw visitors towards the country, such as the zebras, as you can see, the lions, and even the big five animals are all found in Zimbabwe. We can go to Hwange National Park, where we can find these national attractions. Cultural heritage. Rich history attracts cultural tourism, which brings in more tourists. So the culture of Zimbabwe is rich and very informative and very intriguing to many visitors which would like to visit Zimbabwe. We can find this in areas such as the Great Zimbabwe or Victoria Falls or the Inyangani Mountains, which are one of the seven wonders of the world.
Hey guys, after the end of our presentation. Alright, so thank you, St. Ignatius, Zimbabwe, for the presentation. So next, I would like to kindly ask for the next group, which is Guatemala, if I'm not mistaken, to go ahead and do their presentation. Mhm. Like in him.
Okay. Okay. Hi, we're Guatemala, and today we're gonna be speaking about migration, causes, consequences, and other things that might affect Guatemala in migration. Yeah.
So, as you will know, my name is Daniela, and I'm going to talk about the main reasons of migration. Well, all we all know, migration is something that has been part of humanity since the beginning of the time, and Guatemala is not the exception. Since 1950, the registration of people who migrate increased significantly. Yeah. People migrate to other countries for reasons like extreme poverty, lack of jobs, studies, food, violence, and natural disasters. And as we all know, the main factor of migration in every country is to look for new opportunities. So yes.
Okay, why do people migrate to our country? Many reasons people migrate to Guatemala are very bland and controversial because some of those reasons are the reason we Guatemalans migrate to other countries. And a lot of those are economic opportunities, family reunification, education, natural beauty, and cultural heritage, because let's face it, Guate has like a really nice cultural heritage. And humanitarian reasons as well can also influence, but it's very complicated when us as Guatemalans know what our country's going through politically, socially, and every way that it can. And it's really hard to see migrants here in Guatemala trying to get their life better when our life is also a little rocky.
Okay, so good morning. Good morning. I'm Juliana, and I'm going to be talking about migration routes. So Guatemala is a stopping point for many migrants who come as far as Venezuela or Colombia on their way to the United States. Up to this point, many people have next to money and have already traveled a long way. So as we know, migration is very hard and is a very traumatic experience. And Guatemala is just like a checkpoint to all those migrants to their goal is to reach to the United States for better opportunities.
Yeah.
We have here like a little pictures to show the migration.
And
Yeah, that's the first round.
that's the first round. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much from Guatemala. So now next is San Ignacio, Santiago, Chile, with their presentation.
Well, hello everyone. We're going to present this presentation about migration and why people want to migrate to our country. We have Mr. Canales, Mr. Matias, Mr. Vermeer, Mr. Mateo in this presentation. So I wish that start with the presentation. Matias, Vermeer, please. Give me a second. We have some problems, please. It's the presentation or not?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Yeah. So let's start with this topic of migration.
Okay.
Okay, you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Perfectly, sir. Perfectly.
Me, Sebastian, can you hear me?
We can listen to you,
Yes,
Sebastian.
we can.
Okay. Well, I'm Sebastian, and I'm going to talk about some of the principal attractions that Chile has for migrants and why they come to here and not other country. The first attractive is Chile's stable economy. Chile has one of the most stable and prosperous economies of the world, Latin America, with consistent growth and low inflation. The second attractive is Chile job opportunities. Chile have many job opportunities in terms of agriculture, mining, technology, etc. Third fact is education and healthcare. Chile provides a good public education and healthcare, but sadly, it's always better the private option. Can you go to the next slide? For fact, quality of life. Chile has a high standard quality of life with outstandingly lower crime rates compared to the other countries in Latin America. Besides, Chile has one of the most powerful passports in Latin America, and many people use Chile to because you can gain this passport living 5 years in the country, and you can gain money in the country, and you can go to other a better country, seeking better opportunities that you cannot find in Chile. And the last one is landscapes and culture. Its geographical and cultural diversity, from deserts to glaciers, as well as its rich cultural heritage, attract many migrants. These characteristics make Chile an attractive destination for those ones seeking better opportunities and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, hello, here Matias Canales. And well, according from what Sebastian said before, here we have some graphics and statistics who talks about like how is Chile compared to the rest of the Latin American countries, like in a local situation. Starting with the political stability risk, who talks about like how corrupt is the government or how the taxes are spent. We can see that Chile, well, is not the best, but it's actually pretty well. Then we have the passports. According from the Latin American countries, we are the best one. We can like travel to 177 countries without a visa. And in a global ranking, we are the number 15, who is actually pretty high yeah, that's pretty well. Then we have the PISA exams, who talks about like the education that we have, but only like from the schools, not for the college or the universities, only from schools. And it evaluates math, literature, and science. Again, in Latin American standard, we're in the top, but in global ranking, we are at the 47, which is well, but it could be better. Can you like move to the next slide, please? Yeah. Here we have, sorry for the Spanish, but I will translate. Percent of people who live under the line of poverty. This means like the people who don't have the minimum resources to afford the minimum standards to live, like a house, food for 3 foods for the day, like all these minimum things to live. Yeah, they don't have it suddenly. And yeah, Chile is in the bottom again with a 10%, who is terrible, but it could be worse, so it's okay. Then finally, we have the crime rate per country, Latin America, in Latam, who talks about how frequently and common is to be assaulted, the crime, to be robbed, kidnapped, and all these things. Yeah, in the region, we have a really big problem with this, and in Chile also, but at least we have the opportunity to say that we are like in a better situation than our neighbors that we have. Again, compared this to a European country, and yeah, they will destroy us, but it's okay. And yeah, move to the next one, please.
Hi, my name is Mateo, and the most biggest part of persons who migrate to Chile from of various countries, they are Venezuela with the 30%, Peru with the 16%, Haiti with the 12%, Colombia with the 11%, Bolivia with the 9%, and Argentina with the 5%.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Alex, and if we took a step to the past and to the 19th century, lots of migrants come from Europe, and Chile is a high-influenced country of France, United Kingdom, Italy, and Germany. These countries were escaping for war and hunger, also searching for love and better opportunities and new ways to start a new life. And also, they were looking for similar weather of their own countries. For example, German people feel safer in the south of Chile because there is more cold and they have a similar weather as in Germany.
Yeah, well, that is our presentation. Right now, I'm going to stop the present. I give the pass to David to continue this part, please.
Okay, so I think we are ready. And now, our friends from the leaders from St. Ignatius in Zimbabwe, we have still one school left. Okay, guys in Zimbabwe, take the lead.
So it's time for our last school for this round of presentations, which is St. Ignatius, Chicago. So may you please kindly go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you very much. And I would like to start again by saying thank you for including us in this conversation. We were very excited to receive the invitation when we arrived in Santiago to join this conversation and to explore the advantages of such a wonderful platform that allows us to engage and connect across the world. And we're very grateful to have to be able to participate in that. We have 3 students with us currently in Santiago, Sofia, Sunny, and Deborah. Unfortunately, Sofia is not able to join us due to the weather conditions and the repercussions of those weather conditions. So both Sunny and Deborah are with us today, this morning. And I will ask that Deborah, if you could please go ahead and share your screen. Okay.
Okay, are you guys able to see?
Yes, Deborah, we are able to see your screen. Thank
Perfect.
you. And thank you for your flexibility in sharing your screen. I know that we're working with our iPads, so thank you very much. And then Deborah, I'll go ahead and hand the microphone over to you so that you can go ahead and share the response to the question that you prepared.
Okay, perfect. Well, I had to cover why do people migrate from Chicago. So I'm covering 2 different sides, both external migration and internal migration. Now in Chicago, the biggest reason people leave Chicago to other countries are mostly due to, retirement reasons. We don't have a lot of people who are in dire situations where they feel they need to flee the country. So we have a lot of people moving to places like Mexico, where there is better climate, and they leave there to stay. Now, the second one we have is internal migration. And when it comes to internal migration, some of the top reasons that people leave Chicago and go migrate to different states still in the country are just due to high living costs or high taxes, also limited job opportunities in Chicago, and climate and weather preferences. So, for example, the top 3 states that people move from Chicago are California, Texas, and Florida. And I'll hand it off to Sunny.
And then Sunny, if I could jump in here just quickly, I apologize. Deborah, would you mind going back to the first few slides? And I'll give just a little bit of context of where Illinois is, where is Chicago, so that we can have a better idea of where we are in the United States. So everyone will see here a map of the United States, and Illinois, the state of Illinois. Illinois is one of the 50 states in the United States. It is in red. That is where St. Ignatius College Prep is in Illinois. And Chicago is in the northeast of Illinois, right on Lake Michigan. So that is where we are in comparison to the other states that Deborah has just mentioned. So Deborah mentioned, for example, California, which you will see is to the west on the Pacific coast. So you'll have many people, not only from Illinois and Chicago, but from other states, especially in the north, where it tends to be very cold in the winter and we get a lot of snow, going to California, specifically Southern California. And other states that Deborah also mentioned were Texas and Florida, which are to the south. Texas borders Mexico, and then we have Florida in the southeast, which offers beautiful beaches that many Americans enjoy going to in the colder months, and that during retirement age, many Chicagoans and others flee to Florida for the nice weather. So that will just give you an idea here of the map of what the United States looks like. Regarding immigration and migration into the United States, we are currently having large numbers of immigrants and migrants coming to the United States, specifically from countries such as Colombia, Venezuela, and Mexico. So the southern border of the United States with Mexico is where we see a lot of crossings. So in Chicago, actually right now, we have what is called, Chicago is considered a sanctuary city. It's one of very few sanctuary cities in the United States. So many of the immigrants and migrants coming into the southern border are being sent to Chicago, and there are refuges that are set up to house many of the Venezuelan migrants, for example. So this is a map. Thank you, Deborah, for switching over to the map here. This is a map of Chicago. And each individual block or colored section here is essentially a neighborhood of Chicago. So there are many refugios or camps that are being set up right now to house the Venezuelan migrants who are currently in Chicago. And many of those, I live in Hyde Park, which is near, if you can see, kind of in the middle of that map where it says back of the yards in purple. Hyde Park is just 3 blocks over to the right. If you can see that there, it says Hyde Park. There are, I mentioned Hyde Park because I live in Hyde Park, and I know that there are 3 camps that are set up there now for many Venezuelan migrants. The school, St. Ignatius College Prep, is just north of Hyde Park and just northeast of back of the yards, the neighborhood that is there in purple. Okay, so that will just give you a little bit of context of where Illinois is, where Chicago is, what Chicago looks like in terms of neighborhoods, and the communities that are migrating to Chicago and Illinois specifically. So then I think that we're going question by question, if I understand correctly. So I think that we'll maybe loop back to Sunny once we get to her portion of the responses. Yes. Thank you. And again, I'm stepping in for Sophia here. So many of the reasons that you have mentioned, Guatemala, Zimbabwe, are reasons why people migrate to the United States. The first being employment opportunities, of course. Diversity. The United States is a very, very diverse country, as well as Chicago. Chicago being the third largest city in the United States after New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. Chicago is very diverse. The different neighborhoods that you had seen in the previous slide, they are, for example, we have a neighborhood that is primarily Italian, a neighborhood that's primarily Asian, neighborhood that's primarily Mexican. So Chicago in the United States and Illinois offer great diversity. And then finally here, for safety, the United States is generally a very safe nation to live in. And those who migrate come to the United States do that for, employment reasons, opportunities, for diversity, and for safety. Okay, and then I think we will wrap up right here, and then we'll go back to the students in Zimbabwe. If you'd like to go ahead and jump in and address the second question, and we'll come back to Sunny when we get to the negative and positive effects of migration and immigration. Thank you.
Sunny, whenever you're ready,
so
I
much for
cover my section.
Thank you so much for the very amazing presentation. So I think that's all the schools for round one. So now we're about to move on to round two, which are more presentations on the question, why do people migrate from your country and where do they migrate to? So I'm gonna leave it to my co-host, Mr. Bunyaye, to take you through round two.
Okay, guys,
All
our
right.
leaders from Zimbabwe. We might go to our second round, the second question.
Hello?
We cannot
Can you hear
listen
me
to
now? Can you hear me?
Okay, now we can
Yes, we
listen.
can hear
Teacher,
you.
teacher, you listen to the people from Zimbabwe? Okay.
Hello, can you hear us?
You can hear us. Can you hear us now?
Yes, sir, we can listen to you perfectly.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to have our first presentation in round two from Guatemala. Over to you, Guatemala.
So as we said, may we please have the team from Guatemala do their presentation with the question, why do people from your country migrate and where do they migrate to?
Okay.
We're ready now.
Hi, sorry. It's okay.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So hi, I am Marcel. I wasn't here last meeting, so it's nice to meet you all. We're going to talk about why the people from your country migrate. People from Guatemala usually have separated families when they have an economic difficulty because they need someone to go to the United States, which offers better opportunities of work. Most of the time, we're considering a two-parent family with children. one of the oldest children of our parents goes abroad and works in the United States. We have something called remesas, which is like monetary support to the country of origin. It's a common practice because many banks offer bonuses at lower interest rates, and it helps the family to thrive in a difficult space.
So now we have where do they migrate? As we well know, and everybody already said, most of the people migrate to the United States. This is like the main destination for Guatemala people. Like everybody migrate to California, Texas, Florida, and New York, seeking for better economic opportunities and living conditions. Also, people from Guatemala migrate to Mexico, either as a final destination or as a transit point to the United States. We also migrate to Canada, but I think when we migrate to Canada, it's more like for studies and for better job opportunities. And to Europe, although it's less common, but some Guatemala people migrate to the European countries, like Spain, Italy, and others, looking for better job opportunities. We have some other photos. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, thank you very much from the lovely presentation. Next we're going to have San Ignacio, Santiago for their presentation. Over to you.
Well, hello. We are going to present this next question with Vicente. So give me a second, please. Okay. It seemed right, the slide?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, okay.
So, sadly, my group is having connection problems or sleeping, but whatever, I'm here, so let's start. So, why do Chileans migrate to other countries and where do they go? Let's start with the reasons why a Chilean migrates to other countries. This can be due to multiple reasons like economic opportunities, quality of life seeking, etc. They are usually reasons related to opportunities that appear, not so much due to extreme need or something like that.
I continue?
Yeah. Come on.
Okay.
Thanks. So, where do the Chilean people migrate? According to the latest government study, the number of Chileans abroad increased to approximately 1 million people. Most of the Chileans decide to migrate to Argentina, USA, or Spain, but mainly migrate to Argentina, like we can see in the numbers. Come on, Miss Anguita, please. Thanks. So finally, here we can see a map about Chileans living abroad. And we can see again Argentina with a lot of Chileans living there. So there is it. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Vicente. Now let me stop sharing. Tomorrow, now what we are doing, we'll go with the next group of why our migrants migrate to other countries from our country, or what we do, please.
Now it is the turn for our friends from Zimbabwe to continue with the other school.
Okay.
Thank you, guys from Chile.
All right. Thank you, Santiago. Now, up next, we shall have St. Ignatius, Chicago.
Thank you for sending it back to St. Ignatius College Prep in Chicago. I believe that we took a little quick step forward and presented question 2 in conjunction with question 1. So I just wanted to provide a quick summary. Perhaps, Deborah, could you please share the screen again, and I will just do a quick summary of what Deborah has shared with us already. But while Deborah is doing that, she did mention during her presentation that we do not have a lot of immigration from the United States or out of the United States. Essentially, the external migration that we do see is those who are in retirement and are seeking new spaces to live in and engage in and to explore during that period of retirement. But an equivalent would be a sense of internal migration that we have. As Deborah had already mentioned, we see many citizens moving around to different areas of the United States to avoid higher taxes, for example. So you see people moving south to Florida, for example. So both of those internal and external forms of migration that we have are slightly different than the migration patterns that we've heard from Zimbabwe, from Chile, and from Guatemala. So we're grateful to be able to hear your perspectives and to share ours, which are a little bit different. So I will send this back now to Zimbabwe, and I look forward to hearing the responses to question 3.
All right. Thank you, Chicago. We really learned a lot from your presentation. I actually think I'm going to move there one day. That was very informative, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Um,
We look forward to
I'd like
hopefully
to
seeing you in
thank.
Chicago one day.
Oh, really? I'd like to thank all of the students from round 2. That was. Oh, sorry. We have one more, St. Ignatius GCBT. Which is us. That's us. Apologies for the disturbance. So sorry for that.
So hello everyone. We are St. Ignatius College, Zimbabwe, and will be presenting on why people migrate from Zimbabwe to other countries. Okay, so we see in this slide that people will be searching for economic opportunities. As you can see on the left side, we can see people that are having problems in their cities. We have certain parts of Zimbabwe that have economic crisis. So we have certain parts in Zimbabwe that have economic crisis, and they migrate to other countries to experience what you can see in the right side, where you can see a better quality of living and better quality of everything in life and better standards of living as well. My colleague will continue.
Some some people migrate from Zimbabwe to other countries to be with family and friends. Let's say that your family has moved to, let's say, the United Kingdom, and then you're left alone in this country. So you wouldn't want to be left alone, so you go there just to be with your family and your relatives. Where people migrate to. Some Zimbabweans could migrate to South Africa, maybe because of better employment opportunities there or better healthcare services. Most Zimbabweans these days are migrating to the United Kingdom though, and to Canada. Some Zimbabweans also migrate to Australia, mostly because in Australia it's kind of, you could say it's kind of underpopulated and many employment opportunities there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So that was our presentation.
All right. Thank you. These are my colleagues. The presentation was very informative, and it is true that most Zimbabweans move from Zimbabwe because they need to avoid overpopulation, moving to countries that have underpopulation like Australia and so on and so forth. I'd like to thank the students from round two. Those were very great presentations. We really appreciate it, and we're looking forward to more in the next round. Thank you. Now we're introducing round three, where
All right, so round three is about the question, which are the positive issues about migrating to your country and which are the negative issues about migrating to your country. So for round three, would like to start with Chile, San Ignacio, Santiago, with the first presentation.
Okay, we are going right now. I'm going to share. We will go with Jose Suarez and Sebastián. So share. The slides seems good. It's all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start. Hello, I'm Sebastian. We are going to talk about some of the the consequences that migration has brought into Chile. Can you change? Some of the good things that migration has brought into Chile, it's an increase in the diversity of the foods we can get here. Some cuisine that got really popular here, and now it's extremely common to find. It's, for example, Peruvian food that you can see in the top left corner. Other things that has brought is more workforce for constructions or diversity jobs. An example of this is when in 2016, Chile had a crisis in the medical staff, that there were not enough people. So a lot of people started coming to Chile to join the staff, seeing an opportunity in that. Also, there are more now diversity of products to get in Chile. That in previous years, it was almost impossible to see those kinds of products. And finally, a heavy thing that happened is the diversity of culture that occurred here. For example, there are now many events that are heavily related to other countries, but mainly one thing that brought here that was very cultural impact important are the diversity of musical styles, as you can see in the picture, like Argentinian trap or salsa, and many other musical styles that shape our culture. Now it's the turn for Jose Suarez.
Hi to everyone. I'm Jose Suarez. So I'm gonna present about the negative aspects of migration in Chile. So the first bad thing is like the illegal immigrants. Many of them pass by the border. Then we have decrease of quality of basic services. In other cases, they don't have any of basic services. And we have also increase of crime rates. You can see all the pictures that we have in the presentation. And finally, expansion of illegal settlement. Also, you can see here many pictures of illegal settlement that goes with the decrease of quality of basic services. So that was our presentation.
I would also like to note that part of the reason they increase the decrease of quality of basic services, it's the fact that it was the expansion of population in certain areas was extremely quickly, and pretty much nobody was prepared for this in terms of budget, space, and different stuff. That was the cause for the expansion of illegal settlements, because people cannot find jobs because there are in some places there are not enough jobs, and because of that they have to exist in this very inefficient space that doesn't provide them with a lot of basic services to improve their quality of life. And that was the presentation.
Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing. I give the pass to Zimbabwe to continue this round. That's it.
All right, so thank you for your wonderful presentation. So now I would like to move on back again to St. Ignatius, Chicago for their presentation. On round 3 with the same question, which are the positive effects about migration to your country and which are the negative effects about migration to your country? St. Ignatius, Chicago, and over to you for the next section of the presentation.
Thank you. We are just preparing to share our screen. Okay, and then Deborah and Sunny, go ahead and take it away.
I'm going to start with the negative effects of migration in the US. So, one of the negative effects in from the migration crisis in the US is that
homelessness, because the US has already been having its own homeless crisis for a long time now. And by letting like new migrants, new people to enter with no way of sorting through them will just lead to like more people with no homes and no money and like no way to like raise the children that are entering through the border as well. And another issue is violence that starts happening because the sheer amount of people that are coming in also bring in their own problems. And sometimes gangs will like come through the border trying to sell like illegal products, which could range from drugs to illegal animals, pets. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. The good things about migration is the diversity that starts happening within like, you know, migrants and the people that are already living there. So as stated in presentations prior to this one, it brings in like new cultures and new foods and new traditions and things into the environment, which also ties into perspective. With more diversity, there is more perspectives that people can look through and sympathize with. And another positive effect is that of the workforce. The workforce in the US is mostly made out of migrants and immigrants. Yeah.
All right, so thank you to St. Ignatius Chicago for your presentation. So now the next school up for round 3 of presentations is us, St. Ignatius Zimbabwe, still on the same question. So I'd like to invite my friends Kupakwashi Magumana and Ray to do the presentations.
Hello, we are back again for round 3, and we'll be presenting on positive and negative effects of migration, which will be done by my colleagues.
Hello guys, my name is Elliot Kanyong. Hello guys, my name is Elliot Kanyong. So we as a school have gathered these reasons for the negative for the positive effects of migration. For positive effects, they are better and more educated people who enter a country. There is also less economic bondage on the receiving country as immigrants can receive low and little wages. I'll leave this to my chair to explain the rest.
Other positive effects of migration are unemployment is reduced. As migrants go out of the country, they tend to obtain better jobs, which they then find a way to manage to gain income. Coming in of skilled immigrants. As migration occurs, skilled immigrants like nurses and teachers and construction workers come into the country, which then develops the economy and helps the country at large. And then there's a reduction in the crime rate as immigrants, a study has discovered that immigrants tend to commit lesser crimes than the original people state.
Can we see the next slide just to confirm?
My name is Lazarus Maruni. Here are some of the negative effects of migration. So there are language barriers. Immigrants who don't speak the language of their host country fluently may be limited to jobs that require minimal communication or interaction with others. Language barriers can create problems of miscommunication, such as misunderstanding, misinterpretation of messages, and it can cause confusion.
I'll explain further on the negative effects of migration into our country. So there is also difficulty in adjusting to the certain cultures that are in Zimbabwe, which are, for example, the Shona, the Ndebele, and etc. And there are also what we can say difficulty in financial instability, where people cannot they will be used to the previous habitat or the previous place where they would be living and find it difficult to adjust to the new country. Thank you.
All right, so I believe that's it for our presentation. So just to add on a bit, an interesting fact about the language barriers is that here in Zimbabwe, we have 16 different recognized native languages that are spoken within the country. So if someone was to migrate into Zimbabwe, I think they would have a hard time trying to learn which language to speak because it's spoken all over different parts of Zimbabwe. So now our last presentation of round 3 will have Guatemala go ahead with their presentation.
Sorry. I'm Sarah Ipinea, and I will tell you which are the positive issues about migration to your country. Well, migration to the United States brings numerous positive benefits economically first. Okay, migrants feel labor shortages, contribute to innovation and start businesses, thus driving growth and generate tax revenue. Culturally, they enrich the social fabric with diverse traditions, language, and cousins, fostering further understanding and tolerance. Demographically, migrants help contract to affect and ongoing population and declining birth rates by providing a joyful, dynamic workforce. Socially, they create a global network that physically international trade and diplomacy while transferring values, skills, and knowledge. A humanitarian benefits includes providing refuge to those feeling in conflict, allowing with international human rights standards, and supporting global development through remittances.
So as well as migration can have a lot of positive effects, we know that migration also has negative issues. One of the negative issues in the have is that the family it exists the possibility of family separation, which causes significant physiological disaster for both migrations and their relatives. Migration can also affect the victims with a lot of traumas, and they might be, how do you say, victims of violence. They also can exacerbate social tensions, including competition for jobs, as well as cultural clashes and discrimination. Migrants as well can be exploited, and increased population can put pressure on public services. Additionally, economic depends on remittances. Migrants are at a high risk of human traffic and exploitation. Yeah. We have some more photos. Also, wait, oh, wait. We have this photo on the right, which is the train that goes through Mexico. And it goes through Mexico and it goes to the US, right?
Yeah.
What's that train called?
I don't know.
El monstruo, ¿no? La bestia, la bestia. It's called La Bestia. Basically, it's the beast, where, as you can see, a bunch of people go either on the train, in the train, hanging from the train, any way they can go from, for example, Guatemala to Mexico and make their way to the US. And if they're lucky, they can actually go into the US. So that's a very interesting yet very like sad and very complicated fact and thing to swallow, because it's really hard to see people that are from where we're from, people that we either know, go through these things, because some people don't even make it to their destination and they stay along the way. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that would be all. Thank you very much. I believe that was, oh, yeah.
All right, so thank you to Guatemala for the presentation. So lastly, but not least, is time for round 4. So in round 4, we'll be having sort of a short reflection about the presentations we've done so far from each of the students present. So firstly, we would like to start with St. Ignatius, Chicago.
We'd like to know from Deborah or Sunny a reflection over the activity of what you have heard, what striking you the most about this activity, actually the activity and the topics already presented here. Deborah or Sunny.
I'll just add, I think this was very beneficial, but I think one thing that I've noticed is that we can tell that there are some similarities between countries, even though, you know, we both have our differences, but I think it's interesting to see how we both deal with the same things, but we also have different, you know, situations.
I agree with Deborah. I think this was a very important activity to do, which shared a lot in common with each other, and we also had our differences with our countries.
And how do you feel about connecting schools around the world from many different places? How do you feel about it?
I think me personally, it's very cool to see students from all around the world and just getting to know other people. I think it's very beneficial hearing different, you know, different viewpoints. So I'm very pleased to have met you guys.
Thank you. Guys in Zimbabwe.
All right, so
Thank you.
Over to you, Leisure.
Thank you, Mr. Guinay. So, according and from all these presentations that we have, and I think it's safe to say that we can spot various similarities in the negatives and the positives in our respective countries, but they do not override the attractions of our areas. To name a few that I've gotten, there is poverty and economic instability. They affect the marginalized of our countries, and they've been causing problems like migration. But despite these unfortunate situations, we cannot ignore some of the pull factors that attract people like us
to all your states. From the presentations, I think I got the beautiful sceneries, the wildlife, and yeah, I was also attracted with the train that people flood just to go to some areas, and sometimes it's really said that a person has to go through harsh conditions just to go somewhere. But like I think the Ignatian spirituality is demonstrated with people like us living through these problems, and it also inspires us to seek change. And I think that it's important to note that migration has its positive and negative effects, but I think I got a lot of reasons to visit most of the countries, and yeah, in conclusion, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Daishe. We're going to be having our next reflection from Guatemala. Over to you, ladies. Oh,
Right. So as we can see, migration is a global issue and it affects every culture and country, either directly or indirectly. Is a that we need to solve and search for different type ways that we can solve this problem. Us as students, we have like the option to how do you say it? Like inform, inform and search for a better way to solve the problem.
I think, as she said, teenagers and us here today, we can use a lot of tools. For example, social media. I recently learned that there's so many negative things told about social media, but I think it's so helpful how we can use our voices and our opinions and express ourselves through social media. And we can actually begin a little change in our community, in our schools, and in our countries to actually help our country out, because I feel like a lot of us just think, oh, we're doing well, so our country's probably doing well, when in reality, we're not. And it's very important to know and to identify the problem so we can actually start helping and actually start yeah, working on it. And us as teenagers, we hopefully have a lot of time to fix this problem, to give our people actual solutions for migration, and that way we can actually be able to have our own people in our own countries. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
all right, thank you very much. Up next, we're going to be having San Ignacio Santiago. Over to you.
Well, hello, and in our conclusion about all of this presentation, I want to say that bringing the voices from Zimbabwe, Guatemala, the United States, and here Chile, it's like a journey to know the different instance or the different problems that we have, because migration, I think that is pretty different from a country to another. But at the end, we all have that problem, you know. And like the Guatemalan people say, us like teenagers, we have the power to make a change, the power to know this problem and wanted to make a better place in this country. It's not the fault about the immigrants or the fault of our country. It's just that with all this globalization of the whole world make new problems and new solution as well. I think that this exactly is a beautiful instance to know each other, to speak to each other, and to the end to be a greater person, to know more, to make change. that is thank you everyone from here in Chile.
All right. Thank you, Santiago. I'd like to thank all of the people who participated in round 4. That was a very good reflection. We appreciate it from all of you. Over to Mr. David for the final remarks.
Okay, thank you to everyone. I'm very proud of you all. I'm very proud of you guys from Zimbabwe who took the lead in this second round. I'm very, very happy that we have become even closer. You are very distant, but we have become friends. And I'm sure that we will find a new time to discuss about another topic. We have already met another school friend, which is St. Ignatius in Chicago, and I'm sure that we are going to find the time and the place to interact. This is a global community. And thank you once again to our friends in Guatemala. You have been all together with us since many years, since the pandemic, and now we have met new people. So thank you very much to you all. Thank you to Miss Lydia, and thank you to Educate Magis to give us the time, the opportunity to discuss about global issues in these global citizenship subjects around the world. So I would like that everyone may turn your cameras on. So we have a final photograph for these final times. So Sunny, Matias, Jose, Lazarus, Timus, Duarte, Takura, Rai, Michael, final photograph, and say cheese for the final photograph. 1, 2, 3, cheese. And that's it. So I wish you a wonderful lunch, the Chilean, a wonderful lunch for you in Guatemala, a wonderful dinner for you in Zimbabwe, and thank you to everyone. Adios. 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 Turn your microphones on.
Thank you.
Goodbye, people. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
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 Venezuela.
Bye bye.